Hey everyone, just gonna talk through a project I'm working on the 87 Foxbody. I want to have a different steering wheel with a quick release, but I also want to retain my cruise control. You've never really seen an option where you can have your cruise control and a quick release wheel, because obviously the cruise buttons are usually on the wheel. So what I've done here is I bought this plate off of eBay, and I think LMR has them as well. It's a saline style cruise control bracket for using with like a Momo or a Sparco steering wheel. And what I'm going to do is attach it to the permanent hub that's on the column, and not attach it to the quick release hub that comes off with the steering wheel. So what I've done here, and you'll see, hopefully I can explain why I've had to do this. I've taken these 1/8 inch spacers and just JB welded them on to the back of this plate. And it's not for strength, it's just to hold them there until I get everything bolted up. And the reason I did that is because there's two little channels machined into this plate for your wires to have space to come out from the switch. And those sit in that channel. And I've just got a piece of tape here to hold them down in the channel. And then, so 2 wires come off of this side, and 3 wires come off of this side of your buttons that came out of my factory steering wheel. And these spacers are there just so there's room for those wires to be down inside here so they don't get pinched against the hub that's mounted right there. That plate is going to mount directly onto this hub with those 6 bolts, and you don't want these wires to get pinched, so that's what these spacers are for, to give them space down in there to stay there. So I've basically taken the 2 black wires and added a 3rd black wire. I crimped and soldered and heat shrunk them to this pin. This spade terminal will plug into the female end of the black wire on this NGR hub, or NRG hub, I mean. So then I took the 2 red wires from the 1 red wire from the cruise control. I added another red wire to it at the crimp, and then I crimped these 2 and soldered them and heat shrunk them, and that terminal will plug into the red that's on the NRG hub. And then there are 2 green wires from each side of the cruise control, and I crimped them together, and they'll plug in to the green wire. So then the 2 wires I added, the red and the black, come out to another female terminal in this case, and those female terminals will plug into the 2 wires that are on the hub adapter that stays permanently mounted to the column. So that's going to allow your horn button to work. So what I should end up with is this will be permanently mounted right here. And then this will also be permanently mounted on top of that, and all of that will stay on the column. And then the steering wheel I got is a Sparco flat bottom steering wheel. Now, I did not want the suede style steering wheels. So the Momos and some of the other Sparcos were suede, and I know they can get dirty and stained a lot easier over time from your hands. So I wanted just a normal leather. So I did find this Sparco leather wrapped flat bottom steering wheel, and the other side of the quick release is mounted to that. And then when I get all of this installed, this will just snap on there. It can come off, but the cruise control will stay working and will stay mounted. So I'll be back in a minute once I get all this installed, and we'll see how it goes. All right, and just like that, I've got it all put together. Now I will say the wiring inside there's not much room to get all that wire tucked away. I may have to experiment a little more and shorten some of the wires that came on the NRG hub and re-terminate them. We'll see how it works out. Hopefully nothing rubs and my horn doesn't just start going off, but I'll take it for a couple test drives and then take it back apart and look around. I think it's okay, but I can always shorten some wires if I need to make more room. As you can see, the quick release hub does not touch or come in contact with the cruise control switches or that additional plate that I added. I've got a nice tight fit of the hub around the stock trim, so you don't have a bunch of gap showing anywhere. I won't be able to use one hand to take it off, but if I pull back on the quick release, the steering wheel comes off just fine. And then this is what will stay behind. All the wiring is tucked up inside, so no pinching anywhere thanks to those spacers. And the wheel should go right back on. And I'll go ahead and give it a start. All right, so just to wrap up, I want to cover a couple quick details. These bolts here are not the ones that came with the hub. Since I've added this cruise control plate plus the 1/4 or the 1/8 inch thick spacers back behind it, I got 6 new bolts that were a 1/4 inch longer to make sure that I had the same thread engagement into the hub when this is permanently torqued down. So those are an M5 by 20 bolt, and I think these ended up being like 0.9 inches long. If you found them 1 inch long, that would be fine as well, but I just wanted something that was a little longer. The ones that came with it were about 3/4 of an inch long, and to make up for the extra thickness I've added behind the hub. Another thing, the wiring that you saw when I explained how I wired everything up, you'll notice if you ever look at your factory cruise control switches, the wire colors will look a little different. The reason for that is I cut all of the wires coming out of the housings here about 3 inches long, and you're going to need more wire than that to get everything done. So I've added my own wire when I was crimping and soldering everything up. So I had some 22 gauge automotive wire, green, black, and red, and that's the colors that you saw in my video. They'll look a little different than what was on the factory cruise control buttons if you take them out of your steering wheel. Anyway, other than that, I'm pretty happy. I've got my horn, I've keep my cruise, and I have a quick disconnect aftermarket wheel now. So don't think you could ask for anything more. Got to button up everything, get my kick panels back on, clean up the interior, and take this for a drive and see how it goes. Thanks.